While the pandemic forced the 2020 Boston Marathon to be pushed back to October 11th, 2021, we hope you will enjoy this show about Joe Kynoch's run on behalf of the Framingham History Center. The show was taped originally in 2020, but we hope now you will still support the special activities of the Framingham History Center that are related to Joe Kynoch's run. So enjoy the show, and thanks for watching. Bye. This is Fan to Fan on Access Framingham TV. Hi, I'm your host, Dave Hornfischer. I'm pleased to welcome today marathon runner Joe Kynoch, whose run this year will help support the Framingham History Center. And with us also from the History Center is its Executive Director, Annie Murphy. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for coming on to Fan, which has now turned into an annual event to have runners from marathon runners who are running to support a worthy cause in Framingham. And Joe, this is your second time here, so you're becoming a veteran of this. But so why the History Center this year?
I've always been a fan of. I grew up in Framingham, first of all. I was born in Framingham, and I lived in Framingham virtually all my life. Or Eastern Mass otherwise, but Framingham all my life. And I've always been interested in the local history. I have a small business in town which I've named after one of the early plantations in town, Stone's End. Mm-hmm. And I've always had an interest in old houses, always been a fan of the house tour, it was natural, and besides, my wife is a player on the History Center education team, working with the third grade program to introduce third graders to the history of Framingham, all the things that have been going on.
That's what's so great about this marathon effort and involving locals doing things like this, and every year the people who come on here and talk to us tell this story always have these incredible connections, and we've got all these great organizations, and one of the best ones is the Framingham History Center. And so Annie, tell us a little bit more about why Joe's run is important to the History Center and how you're going to kind of integrate it into your planning here.
Well, as you know, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. A lot of people think that because we're in city-owned buildings that we are a city agency, but we are not. We have leases on these buildings. We are raising money to preserve them, and we do a lot of other things. We have very vibrant programs running throughout the year. We serve the third graders. We have a research facility. Tons of people use our library, and I think our house tour, for instance, is a rite of spring every Sunday after Mother's Day. And I think it's a real community building experience. I think everything we do makes our community stronger, because when people learn about the history of Framingham, first of all, they're amazed. They say, "What? This is Framingham?" And I think the stories are intriguing, and there's a lot to learn from our history.
Well, Annie, that's certainly a long list of good reasons why somebody like Joe should do this, and we'll get back to some more of the specifics in a few minutes. But before we do this, I want to just talk with Joe a little bit and ask him the tough question: how does one get ready to run 26 miles?
Well, it's you run more. You run more than 26 miles. You try to run as much as possible during the week, shorter runs, longer runs on the weekends to get ready, to build up the endurance, my endurance, and just learn what it's like to get to past that 20-mile mark where you kind of hit the wall and start to really feel like you've only run half the marathon by the time you get to mile 20. So I run 3-4 days a week, and I'm pretty active mostly, and then I do a long run on the weekends. So that's how I train for it.
And this isn't the first time you've done this.
No, it isn't. I've done Team Framingham. I've been on it. It was in 2014, 17, 18, and now 20. In 2014, I I started the marathon, but I was very sick and ended up only dropping out at mile 6. I wasn't capable of going any further. But then I rather than waste all that training, I used that and I ran the Providence Marathon a couple weeks later. And then I ran in 2017 and 2018. And then again, I'm running this year.
Right, in 2017 you were here helping Hoops and Homework, I remember, another one of my favorite charities. So you've done this before, so what are some of the challenges on race day when there's probably, 25, 50,000 people out there
First
running, let alone the hundreds of thousands that are watching.
Right, first you have to get there. I mean, it starts, we get on a bus probably about 7:30. We don't leave. We get on a bus in Framingham, 7:30 to get out to Hopkinton, get on another bus to take you into what they call the Athletes Village, which is basically the fenced-off ball fields in Hopkinton High School, fenced off with porta potties all around both sides. And there's 25,000 approximately runners in there. The 10,000, there's 35,000 runners total, 10,000 are elite and sponsored runners, and then there's the 25,000 for the hoi polloi like us.
I didn't realize there were that many elite runners, 10,000.
Well, it's more than elite.
Qualified
it's qualified and serious runners, and then there's the charity runners.
Right.
And so you get to Hopkinton about 8:30, and you've got 3 hours to sit around.
Hopefully it's not raining.
And so it's just, go get a banana, go get a bagel, go to the bathroom, walk around, try to stay loose, and get ready for the run. And you're pretty amped up anyway with adrenaline, ready to go. So it's hard waiting there.
And then it's downhill. The beginning.
Very fast.
And then you get to
downhill.
Framingham, which is mile 6, which is where everybody who's watching this is going to be cheering you on.
Right.
And that's probably, is that one of the highlights coming through?
It is,
Framingham?
because our families are there, everybody on Team Framingham, and a lot of the runners, the support groups are all out there to help and cheer us on with banners and flags and stuff. And it's real nice to see these people cheering you on, because it gets a little, after a while.
At about 6 miles, you're probably beginning to wonder, why did I do this? Huh?
Right. At that point, I'm starting to, lose a little energy. So I'm taking a little energy, taking some water and some Gatorade to, get myself going again. And then seeing people along the route is the best part. Keep me going anyway.
And then you get to go through all these other towns, Natick and Wellesley College, with all these students out there.
That was a treat. Yeah.
And then sooner or later you come to Heartbreak Hill.
Right?
Where is that in the race? Is that
it's really 4 hills.
Okay.
And it starts at mile 16 and goes basically to mile 20.
Okay.
The first hill starts right at Newton Lower Falls. Right as you cross over the Charles, you come down the big hill and you start going back up from the Charles River up through to by Newton Wellesley Hospital. Flattens out, you run down. The second hill's just after you make the corner by the fire station in Newton. And the third hill is in Newton Center, and the fourth hill, which is the big hill that people think of as Heartbreak Hill, is from Newton, I don't know where in Newton actually, but to Boston College at the top there.
And by the time you get there, you either want to quit or you're so fired up you can't wait for the finish line, right?
Right. Well, yeah. Boy, I wish it was closer. That's what you start saying.
That's right. 6 miles to go. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But when you finish, we got a photo of you finishing here, I think.
All right.
It has got to be a great feeling that
it's amazing.
There you are, crossing the line. There you go. Yay, Joe.
Team
All right.
Joe. That was me in 2017, because the picture in 2018, it was pouring with rain, and it was a very unpleasant finish.
What's the kind of a day you look forward to?
I kind of liked the rain because it kept things cool. And
there you are in the rain.
Yeah, it was a serious bit of rain.
Yeah.
But I can't describe it. Finishing like that is, you work so hard for 4 months to get ready for that, and it's It's a big charge to get over that finish line.
And your thought then is all the good you're doing for the History Center.
Absolutely. I'm saying, yeah.
Well, anyway, speaking of all the good for the History Center, what is the History Center all about, Annie? We've got a few pictures here now that we can run through, and you can just kind of hit a few of the highlights off of these. We're going to start with one inside the Edgell Library.
Yeah, this is the old Edgell Library. It was this Civil War memorial and the town's first freestanding library, and we're now, you can see this is the old stacks, which we've turned into an exhibit area. And this is our Framingham's Top 10 exhibit. We chose our top 10 most important artifacts to put on display, and we feel like everyone in town should see these and should learn the stories behind each of these items.
Got a little poster here of that I'm holding up. If we can.
But in any case, it's a great.
The general in front here is
General Gordon. He's our
General
Civil
Gordon.
War general, and that
we may see him again a little later here in the show.
Right.
But so inside there, in addition to all these, we've got some great art. You have a picture.
So this is one of
the.
this is the.
It's a different one. Yeah.
The 1808 view of the Center Common, done by Captain Daniel Bell. This is a wonderful, this was actually, we put out 19 objects for people to vote on. We did a public vote for what people thought should be in our top 10 exhibit. And this was one of the top 3 choices, so it is in the exhibit.
So pastoral.
It's a wonderful sort of folk art, and that really is what the Center Common used to look like.
And then we move on to another thing in there that's about as far from the Center Common. This goes into the 1950s, right?
Yeah. So this is our Shoppers World sign. We actually, this was on the corner of Route 30 and Speed Street, and it is most of it is the original neon, if you can believe it. And we have had that sign in the basement of the Edgell Library. We brought it up. We had it conserved. There's actually a New England neon company in Framingham, and we've become great friends with this guy.
This is Las Vegas and Framingham.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, we light the sign up on special occasions. People absolutely love it. We have a little. We ask people, do you think that we should preserve the sign and paint it? Well, we're preserving it, but do you think we should paint it, or should we keep it as is? And most people say keep it as is, which I love, because they're preservationists. That's a huge thing.
Now we've got a picture of some people looking at some of the smaller treasures.
Well, yeah. So these are. We recently had our former curator did a wonderful presentation of ceramics in our ceramics collection, sort of an overlooked collection in the History Center. And those are literally shards, Native American shards, to an urn, a vase or container that was found in the foundation of the Eames Red House, dating 1700s. And then there's a commemorative picture from Lafayette's visit to the United States.
Wow.
And then, lots of beautiful porcelain, but all different kinds of ceramics. It was like a...
And you have a lot of clothing.
Yeah, we definitely have.
You got a big dress collection, I know, that you highlighted one time.
This piece
is really special.
Is very special. This belonged to Peter Parker, and that is not Spider-Man, but Dr. Peter Parker from Framingham. He grew up in Framingham. He grew up in poverty on a farm, which most of Framingham was agricultural. In the early 1800s, he ended up going to Amherst, and he went to Yale. He became a missionary. He was one of the first missionaries to China. He opened up a hospital in Canton that served over 50,000 patients, and he actually did cataract surgery at this time. He was so beloved by the Chinese that he became the first diplomat to China from our country. And so this is his diplomatic uniform, and when we opened the box about 4 years ago to find this, it was totally moth-eaten. You can see some of the moth holes, but people would look at it and say, I can't do anything with this. And then we found the right guy. And so we've had it preserved, and it's very special.
His show about it was fascinating. We were fortunate to be there.
Yeah,
It was terrific.
It's an amazing story. I mean, really, this man probably signed the first trade agreement with China.
Wow. And no tariffs maybe.
Right.
But in addition to all this old stuff, you're really trying to get the story out to younger people, and you have this wonderful tradition of telling third graders.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's our 45th year of bringing all of Framingham's third graders, and this year it's over 800 students come through the old academy and the Edgell Library, and then this year, because of the new Village Hall, we're going to include that on the tour, and that's what Joe's wife, Robin, is working on, doing a really great hands-on activity with students there too. But it's the whole month of May and a week in April, and we get them all.
This is what, 500? 1,000 kids?
800 children. Oh, so how many are you saying over 40?
Graders? Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that math
A lot
right
of them.
now. A lot.
A lot
just
of them.
to say a lot. I mean, we had a bus driver drop students off at the academy one day, and he said, "I remember seeing that."
The academy is your oldest building, right?
Actually, the Village Hall is older than the academy.
That's true, of course.
Just a few years older.
Right.
But people, I mean...
And this building is full of wonderful treasures in itself.
Yes, it is. So the kids get a whole... For many, it's their first experience in a museum, but it's also interactive and fun.
Well, talking about the real history, Framingham actually has a historian.
Yes.
And there he is, and that's Fred Wallace.
Yes.
A good friend of mine, and he's there with, who is he portraying?
He is General George Gordon.
And that's that same man we saw in the statue.
Yeah, the statue,
Library.
Yep. And
looking a little sprier here.
Right, so we've done a lot of walking tours around the Common. We did a huge a year of Civil War programming, and Fred was General Gordon. He was religiously General Gordon for whatever, but we also did a walking tour or a haunted, what we call a cemetery tour at the Edgell Grove Cemetery where Gordon was buried with his wife and family, and Fred spoke to the people. We did
a show about that for AFTV.
Yeah,
even.
But Fred, he's a treasure. Fred is a treasure. So maybe we'll get somebody to do a sculpture of Fred someday.
Well, he's written books about General Gordon, too.
Yes.
And you have a number of books that you sell of the history of
Yes,
Framingham.
we have a lot of books.
Including one great one by the history, the red-covered one there. That's
the Steve Herring's book.
Steve Herring's book, who was the previous town historian.
Yes, exactly.
And then finally, the oldest building that we have in the collection here, Village Hall, which has had a marvelous renovation thanks to the city of Framingham.
Yes. Yeah, that was very exciting. That building was the town's, it was actually the third town hall, because there were all sorts of meeting houses and town halls that were much smaller, but this was the major, the one that lasted, and it served as the town hall until the early 1900s, when the seat of government went to downtown. Sort of everything went to downtown as soon as the train came through. But this building, it's a beautiful, we run it as a banquet facility, and the city, it was very difficult to rent it out for many years because we did not have an elevator, and if you can't get grandma upstairs to your reception, you're not going to rent the building. So we needed to get an elevator in there so that we could essentially keep it going, because it needed serious, as the city discovered when they started. It was a big project. Breaking into it. That boy, good thing we're doing this. So
and they really did a wonderful job.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. They gave it a facelift and many new kitchen. They paint. It's lovely.
Thank you,
great.
Jim Paolini.
Thank you, Jim Paolini. Exactly.
and the committee
and crew. Yeah.
Bert Marmer and Betty Funk in particular.
Friends of the Village Hall, which you were a part of.
I was a part of it too, yeah. But those two did the real work. But anyway, let's get, so Joe, you know all about this wonderful center that does all this stuff. So you have another runner that's working, that's running with you.
Right, Di Summer is one of the other runners on Team Framingham.
For the History
Center.
For
the History Center,
right.
Right.
And Team Framingham itself is a fairly large group, right?
Team Framingham is the town, there are 22 runners on Team Framingham. We've the Boston Athletic Association, BAA, gives the town 22 bibs to use as they see fit because the marathon runs through town. And they're lotteried off back in November. And 22 out of I think there were 80 applicants received the bibs. And then there were 5 charities chosen.
Oh, really? Only 5? Yeah.
5 local charities. I can't remember what they are other than the History Center and I can't remember.
Yeah. So you have to be lucky to have your charity chosen. You have to.
You have to be lucky in a couple
If you've done
ways.
this several years, you've been pretty lucky to get chosen out of those 80 or 90 applicants every year.
Well, since 4 out of the last 6 years, 8 to 7 years, I guess it is, I've succeeded. Once it was off the wait list, so somebody got and then they dropped out or whatever. Yeah.
And so every runner then has a goal to raise money for the charity.
Yes, we commit to raising $4,000 each toward a charity.
And then how do you go about doing that? That sounds like a lot of nickels and dollars.
It is a lot of work. So
maybe harder than the race.
There's personal friends and family. Certainly the History Center is contributing a lot. They're going out and looking for sponsors to help us. All of these organizations are helping the History Center by helping us. And
we've got our sponsors. So you'll see banners up downtown as we get closer to the race, and the banners. It's not but this is Joe's banner.
That's just my poster.
This is his fundraising poster. But we've gotten sponsorship. I just want to make sure we give a plug to Topo, which is downtown. They are a sneaker footwear company, and they've given Joe some running shoes. And then the Learning Center for the Deaf is sponsoring, as well as the Volturno, which is the fabulous restaurant right here in the center district.
Right. So we try to part of the fundraising is personal, individual contributions to support the runner, working with the organization, the charity, the History Center in this case, to organize sponsors and fundraisers that are coming up, and just being out there trying to get, making people aware that they can contribute to support this by supporting me, which goes right through.
So we just sent out an e-newsletter, and we've got a button in there and how you can support Joe and Di. But our big fundraiser, which we've made into a really fun program, is coming up on April 2nd, and it's Framingham Taverns Then and Now. And it's at 7 o'clock at the Edgell Library. It's a $30 ticket. And you need to go to framinghamhistory.org and sign up, because I think we're going to get a lot of people. But we have Exhibit A is going to be doing some beer sampling, but also Kelsey is going to be talking about the history of brewing. But we also have our historians at work on unearthing the old taverns in Framingham. So there's going to be sort of a pop-up exhibit of lots of old taverns in Framingham.
And that exhibit may continue in the History Center after April 2nd, if this show's on after April 2nd?
Well, sure. It depends how, I mean, it's, sure, we'll have it up, but it's going to be a fun night, so.
That sounds great.
And all the proceeds will go toward these guys, toward their goal.
And so if somebody wants to support this, I'm sure there's a website.
Well, so the easiest way to support, we decided, there's a very long, link for
Joe
the charity.
Has his own link.
Yeah.
Well, it all goes to, it all points to the History Center.
Right, but there's charity, a GoFundMe page, and then it's got about 1,000 letters after that. So what we decided is go to the Framingham History Center website, www.framinghamhistory.org, click on the blog, and when you go to the blog, there's going to be a thing on Joe and Di, but there's a nice button that says push me, and then you can help make a donation to their run. So
I always like to read off websites, www.framinghamhistory, all one word, .org.
Right.
Not
right.
.com or edu.
No.
.org.
Right. Thank you.
.org.
Yep.
And you probably have some other ways too on Twitter, on Instagram,
We'll be
and Facebook.
yeah. We'll do. There's Facebook. We'll be doing Facebook posts and Instagram posts. So and we'll have a link right on those too.
So Joe, when you do something, when you're doing this run, you sort of feel like you're sort of a Paul Revere. Paul had his famous ride for history, and this is your run for history.
This is my run for history. Yeah.
Are you going to wear a tricorn hat?
I will. I will do that, and a woolen cape.
Yeah, right.
And knee breeches.
How about if you have a horse? That might help.
That would be about it. Yeah.
So I see we've got in back of you, Annie, a brochure for the house tour, and that's coming up comes up in May, right?
Yep. So that's May 17th this year. It's always a blast. We've got some fabulous houses, not just historic, but we have some mid-century modern, and it's just a wonderful day. And it's something that, again, you can go to our website, and tickets aren't on sale until the 30th, I believe.
So will Joe be running from house to house to house? Would that be 26 miles, you think, all around?
I could do that.
Maybe we should have our own little history. Maybe we should have our own history house tour marathon.
Well, you pledge $1,000 and he'll do it for
Run to
you.
all those houses.
He can run from
carrying
house
me
to
on
house.
his back.
And he'll
Fred
wear a
is coming.
tricorn hat.
Fred will.
Yeah.
Fred is coming.
Yeah.
One if by land, two if by Fred.
Well, this has been great. Is there anything that I should have asked you about the History Center, Annie, that I haven't got in here in the last 20 minutes?
Well, I mean, I could just talk about some of the programs that are coming up. The Taverns program is April 2nd, and then on April 19th, we have a program on Peter Parker, medical missionary and diplomat. And then we often have guided tours of our exhibit, our top 10. So the next one, is on April 22nd, and then conversations with the curator, and then we get into the house tour. And so each of the 10 artifacts that are displayed, we are doing programming around it. So for instance, the picture that you see of the Center Common, we are going to be collaborating with the Danforth Museum, and we're doing it en plein air, where we're going to have artists. There's going to be a workshop on the Common, but we're going to have artists doing their interpretation of the Common now, which I thought was kind of a fun idea. And then we're going to have an auction of those paintings afterwards.
If somebody wanted to get your newsletter that would tell them about all these, how do they do that?
Well, so
Do they become a donor?
Well, of course,
Oh,
we
surprise.
always want you. No, if you're a member, certainly we send out notices and postcards, and we have an e-news. But if you're just interested, first of all, come in and see us. We're at the Edgell Memorial Library. A lot of people don't think it looks open, but we're there. We promise. It's at 3 Oak Street. It's got the Civil War soldier in front of it. We're in there. Just come in and see us. Give us your email, and get on the list. But also, we have a very active Facebook page. We have a fabulous Facebook page.
Well, that's all great. Our half hour has rapidly run its course, unfortunately. You're going to be working with history here for the ever in history, and Joe's going to be running 26 miles in 4 hours, 5 hours?
5 hours.
5 hours?
Under 5 hours is my goal.
Well, God bless you for
my
doing
God.
this. Thank
Really,
you so
thank
much,
you,
Joe,
Joe.
for your run. Thank you, Annie, for all you do for the town's
Thank
history.
you.
And thank
Thanks,
all of our
Joe.
fans out
You're
in
welcome.
Framingham and everywhere else for tuning in to Framingham Fan to Fan. We're on 4 times a week on Access Framingham during the week, and on Saturday mornings at 7:30. So stop by, check out this show. This is our historic sports fan show for the year, and all the other kind of fun things that are here. Thanks so much. Good night.